I don't scare easy. I've lived in the city my whole life. Noise? Used to it. Creeps on the train? Just ignore M. Random weirdness? That's Tuesday. But this changed everything. I wasn't some wide-eyed kid. I wasn't drunk or high. I was just a regular guy coming home from work. This is a true story. My story. And if I hadn't trusted that one gut feeling, I might not be here to tell it. So I lived alone in a one-bedroom apartment on the second floor of this old building in Queens. Nothing fancy, peeling paint, weird smells, crooked floorboards. But rent was good and it was mine. It was a Wednesday mid-October, cold, gray, and just gross outside. I remember I had a crap day at work. Boss was on my back, phone wouldn't stop ringing, and the train ride home? Delayed. Packed. Miserable. So I just wanted to get home, heat up leftovers, and zone out on the couch. I remember unlocking the front door, walking in, and at first, everything looked normal. Lights off, same slight musty smell from the carpet, same squeaky floor under my boots. My backpack hit the floor like usual, keys dropped in the bowl. But something was off. I couldn't place it right away. You know when your brain's just chewing on something in the background? That quiet alarm? That was me standing there in the living room. It was weirdly quiet. Like, too quiet. Usually the radiator hissed or the fridge made those little mechanical noises. But nothing. Just dead silence. I flipped on the hallway light and started heading to the kitchen, and that's when it hit me. My bathroom door was open. Now, that's not the weird part. It's what I saw inside. The shower curtain was closed. All the way. Pulled tight. And that might not mean much to you, but here's the thing. I always leave it open. Not for any deep reason, it just freaks me out seeing it closed. Like, I need to see there's nothing behind it. It's a habit. Been that way since I was a kid. And now? After a long day, nothing touched, door locked, no sign of anything wrong, there it was. Closed. Perfectly, evenly, like someone had carefully drawn it shut. I stood there in the hallway, just staring at it. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. Didn't say a word. Just the slow, cold creep climbing up my spine. And that's when I knew. Someone was in my apartment. I didn't go in. I didn't check the bathroom. I didn't yell hello or try to be brave. I backed out slowly. Didn't even lock the door behind me. I just eased it shut and walked down the hallway like I forgot something. Didn't run. Didn't panic. Just tried to look normal. But my hands were shaking. I made it out to the street and ducked around the corner of the building. That's when I called the cops. Now, I know some people might think that's dramatic. Maybe you left it closed. Maybe you're just being paranoid. But no, I knew. I knew I didn't close that curtain. And if I did, it wouldn't have been that perfect. Something was in there. I could feel it in my bones. I gave dispatch my info, told them I thought someone had broken in, maybe still inside. They asked if I saw anyone. I said no. Just the curtain. They said stay put. Officers were on the way. 10 minutes felt like an hour. I kept picturing the layout of my apartment. The front door. The hallway. The bathroom on the left. And behind that curtain? What? Someone hiding. Breathing. Listening. Waiting. Finally, I saw the flashing lights. 2 officers came, both of them calm, serious. I explained what I saw. They asked if I was sure no one else had a key. I said absolutely. No one. I live alone. One of them nodded and said, okay, we'll check it out. I watched from behind as they walked in. One had his hand on his holster. The silence was killing me. They stepped inside. The door closed behind them. A full minute passed. 2. Then I heard one of them call out, clear up to the bathroom. My heart was pounding. I waited. And then the other cop's voice, tight, sir, could you come up here, please? I froze. Why would they call me up? What did they find? I walked up to the door. The hallway felt like it was a mile long. When I reached them, they didn't let me go past the threshold. One officer stood at the bathroom door. The other looked me straight in the eye and said, there was someone behind the curtain, armed. We've taken him into custody. I just stood there, staring, not processing. Then the words hit me. There was someone in my apartment with a knife, and he'd been waiting. They brought him out in handcuffs. I'll never forget his face. He looked ordinary, mid-30s, scruffy, dirty jacket, pale skin, didn't say a word, didn't look scared. He just looked at me, right in the eye, and smiled. That little smirk, it wasn't wild or angry. It was calm, cold, like he knew me, like this was personal. The cops searched him, then searched the bathroom. He'd been standing behind that curtain for who knows how long, holding a knife, just waiting. He had a backpack on the floor next to the tub. Inside were some things that still mess me up to think about. A roll of duct tape, zip ties, a burner phone, a set of gloves, and a folded-up note. The note only had 3 words on it. Wait, be still. That was it. No name, no explanation, just that. The officer who showed it to me looked disturbed. He said, "This guy didn't break in to steal your TV. He was here for you." Turns out, he had pried open the bathroom window from the alley out back. No security bars, no camera angle. Just dumb luck and an old frame. They think he got in maybe 2 hours before I got home. Which means he was already inside. When I was on the train. When I was unlocking the front door. When I walked into my own apartment and stood there like an idiot. I've always been into gaming. Like, deeply into it. Growing up in the city, surrounded by noise and chaos, gaming was how I tuned it all out. I was 16, lived with my mom in a small 2-bedroom apartment in the Bronx. She worked nights, nurse at a rehab clinic, so I was used to being home alone. That night was like any other. Friday. Cold. Dark early. I had just finished some frozen pizza, got into my room, tossed on my headset, booted up my game, some first-person shooter I was obsessed with at the time. I remember the lights in my room were off except for the glow of the monitor. My headset covered my ears tight, noise-canceling, wireless, really good quality. And I was locked in, just zoned out playing match after match. Trash talking, laughing, all of it. At some point, I realized I was alone in the game. No teammates, no chat. I was just waiting in a new lobby to load the next map. That's when I heard it. A voice, right in my headset. Not loud, but clear. Whispering. "Nice house." I froze. I thought maybe it was part of the game. Like an audio bug or Easter egg. Then I checked the chat. Nobody else was connected. No party, no voice comms, no nothing. I sat back, heart thudding, headset still on. Then I heard it again. Same whisper. Same voice. I'm in the hallway. That's when everything in me just snapped into alert mode. I ripped the headset off, stood up, and just listened. Total silence. The kind of silence where even your own breathing feels loud. I walked to my door, opened it slowly, and peeked into the hallway. Dark. Still. But I swear to God, I could feel something. Like eyes. Like pressure in the air. I grabbed my phone, backed into my room, and locked the door. And that's when I realized my headset light was still on. Meaning, it was connected to something. I sat on the edge of my bed, just holding my headset, staring at the tiny green light. It blinked steady, connected. Connected to what? I went into settings on my phone to scan nearby Bluetooth devices. Only mine showed up. My phone, my speaker, and then another device popped up. SNDVX. Unnamed source. I'd never seen that before. I tapped on it, it wouldn't give any info. It had signal. Strong signal. Which meant it was close. Very close. My skin went cold. I opened my bedroom window quietly and listened for any sound from outside. Nothing. Then I went to the door, pressed my ear against it. I heard it. Breathing. Faint, but right outside the door. Just slow, steady breathing. I backed away fast, heart racing, and dialed 911. Whispered into the phone what was happening. The dispatcher told me to stay put. Cops were on the way. That's when I heard the whisper again. Not in the headset. From behind the door. "Nice house." It was the exact same voice. He was right outside. And he had a way into my headset. He could hear me. Maybe see me. Maybe more. I wanted to throw up. I muted my phone and held my breath. Then I saw the doorknob twitch, just a little, like someone testing it. Then a soft knock. 3 slow knocks. My whole body was frozen. Couldn't scream, couldn't run. I just stood there, phone in one hand, headset in the other. Another whisper. Through the door, barely audible. "Why'd you stop playing?" That's when I lost it. I bolted, opened the window fully, and climbed out barefoot onto the fire escape. I didn't think, just acted. Ran down 2 flights, cut my hand on the metal railing, didn't care. I sprinted to the bodega on the corner, ran inside like a lunatic, screaming for help. The guy behind the counter recognized me and locked the door. I called the cops again. They were already close. When they got to the apartment, they searched the place. Nobody there. No signs of forced entry. But my bedroom door? It was unlocked. My headset? Gone. Just gone. But that's not the worst part. On my bed, tucked under the pillow, was a note. Just 3 words. "Keep playing, Daniel." They never found the guy. Cops think he hacked my headset. Maybe parked nearby. Maybe even had a listening device inside the apartment somehow. Maybe he'd been watching for days. That headset? I threw it in the trash the next morning. We moved within the month. My mom didn't even question it. She could see I wasn't sleeping, wouldn't go near my room, jumped at every sound. I stopped gaming for a while. Months, actually. And when I finally picked it up again, new console, new setup, wired headset only, I still can't play in the dark. Or alone. Because I keep hearing that voice. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and swear I hear a whisper. Soft. Like it's coming from my closet. Or my phone. Once I got a call from a blocked number. Didn't answer. It left a voicemail. Nothing but static. And just before it cut off, a whisper. 1 word. Play. You ever hear something that just doesn't sit right in your gut? Like your brain tells you one thing, but something deeper, something older, is screaming, "Don't do it." Yeah. That's how this night started for me. I live alone in a small house on the edge of a quiet neighborhood just outside the city. No roommates, no pets, just me and some peace and quiet, which honestly I loved. But I'll tell you right now, since this happened, I haven't slept the same. And I never ignore my gut anymore. This was just a few months ago, mid-November, cold as hell outside. It was around 2:15 in the morning, and I was sitting on my couch, half asleep, scrolling through my phone with some old sci-fi movie playing in the background. That's when I heard it. It was faint at first, almost so quiet I thought I imagined it. But it got louder. A baby, crying, outside. Now let me be clear. I don't live near any houses with little kids. And at that hour, in that kind of cold, no way should a baby be out there. I muted the TV, stood real still. The crying kept going. Sounded close, like right outside my front door. I'm standing in my living room, heart thumping in my chest, just staring at the door. And something's already not right. The way it sounded, it wasn't normal crying. It was too repetitive, like a loop. You know what I mean? Like it was playing on repeat or something. I moved real slow toward the door, not because I was scared yet, at least not fully, but because my whole body was telling me something was off. I didn't open the door. I didn't even touch the doorknob. I just stood there listening. The baby kept crying. Then it stopped. Dead silence. I held my breath without even realizing it. Waited. Then, bang. Something slammed against the wall of my house. Hard. Like someone had thrown their whole weight against the side. I jumped back, heart racing now. That's when I knew something bad was going on. I didn't move. I didn't blink. Just stood there in the middle of my living room, listening so hard my ears were ringing. No more crying. No footsteps. No voices. Just silence. And then, on my window, not loud, just gentle, like someone was testing the glass. Now, I've got thick curtains so I couldn't see out, but the window is only about 6 feet to the right of the front door. That meant whoever was there had moved around the house. Fast, quiet. I backed away slowly, grabbed my phone off the couch and called 911. Tried to keep my voice calm, but I was shaking so bad I could barely hold the phone steady. 911, what's your emergency? I told them someone was outside my house. Might have tried to break in. I heard a baby crying, then banging on the wall and tapping on my window. They told me to stay inside, stay away from doors and windows, and officers would be there in less than 10 minutes. Now 10 minutes feels like forever when you're waiting in fear. So I grabbed the baseball bat I keep under the couch because I watch horror movies. I ain't trying to be a victim in one. And I went into the hallway, no windows, just walls. Sat down on the floor with my back to the wall, phone in one hand, bat in the other. That's when I heard it again. The baby. Only now it was behind the house, but softer, like the volume had been turned down, and looped again. The exact same pattern. Clicked. It wasn't real. Somebody was using a recording, trying to lure someone outside. And just when that realization hit, something slammed against the back door. Not once, 3 times, like they were trying to break it in. I didn't scream. I didn't run. I just whispered into the phone, "They're trying the back door now. Please hurry." 5 minutes later, red and blue lights finally lit up the street. As soon as I saw them through the peephole, I unlocked the front door and waved them in. 3 officers swept the property. Front yard, backyard, side alley, even the crawl space. Took them maybe 10 minutes. When one of them came back, his face was pale. They found a Bluetooth speaker hidden in the bushes outside. It was playing the baby sound on a loop. Beside it, a hunting knife, a bottle of water, and behind my shed boot prints. Fresh. They led into the woods, but they never found who did it. They said it's an old trick, using a sound that triggers someone's instincts to help. A baby crying, a woman screaming, things that get you to open the door, to step outside. I didn't that night, but someone else might have. So if you ever hear something strange outside in the middle of the night, don't be a hero, be smart, and trust your gut. I don't talk about this much, not even with close friends. It happened a long time ago, back when I was 13, but it's burned into me, like some memories don't fade. They just wait. So here I am, grown, trying to make sense of it. But back then, I was just a kid, just a quiet kid in a quiet house. My parents worked late. I'd come home after school, lock the door, microwave something cheap, and post up with a PlayStation or Cartoon Network. Real normal stuff. I wasn't scared of being home alone. I actually liked it. No yelling, no rules, just me. But all it takes is one moment, one detail that doesn't sit right, to turn your whole world upside down. Started on a Thursday night. It was around 9 p.m. I was sitting on the living room floor, cross-legged, controller in hand, TV blasting some dumb shooter game. Then the house phone rang. We had one of those ugly beige cordless phones that sat on a charging dock in the kitchen. Nobody ever called the house phone anymore, except telemarketers or my grandma. So I let it ring, but it kept going, like 5-6 times. Finally, I paused my game and picked it up. Didn't even say hello, just kind of waited to hear who it was. And then, this voice, this low, scratchy voice, just says, "I know you're alone." No emotion, no background noise, just those words. I froze, didn't say anything, just held the phone to my ear, heartbeat pounding like a war drum. And then click, they hung up. No number on the caller ID, just private caller. I stood there for maybe a full minute, phone still in my hand, trying to figure out if it was a prank. Maybe a friend messing around. But none of my friends sounded like that. And none of them knew my landline number. Hell, I barely knew it. Still, I convinced myself it was nothing. Put the phone back, unpaused my game, tried to shake it off. But I swear, I kept checking over my shoulder the rest of the night, like I could feel something, like I wasn't as alone as I thought. The next morning, I barely remembered the call, or maybe I just tried to forget it. I didn't tell my parents, didn't think they'd believe me anyway. My dad would have just grunted something like, probably a prank, and my mom would have hit me with that. Well, maybe we should unplug the phone at night. They weren't big on panic, so I brushed it off. But the next night, that's when things got real. It was Friday, same deal. Parents working late, I'm home alone. This time I ordered pizza with cash they left. I was halfway through a slice, sitting on the floor again, watching some dumb horror movie that wasn't even scary. And then the phone rang. I looked at it. Same thing, private caller. I remember getting that feeling again. The stomach drop, cold fingers feeling, like something heavy was pressing on my chest. I picked up, didn't say anything. And again I heard it, that same voice, this time slower, like he was savoring it. I know you're alone. Then click. No sound, no noise in the background. Just those words again, like they were meant just for me. I stood there holding the phone, hands shaking a little. This time it hit harder. I hadn't told anyone, not a soul. So why was it happening again? It wasn't random. This wasn't someone dialing the wrong number or some creepy coincidence. It was deliberate. I locked all the doors, checked the windows, pulled the curtains, sat back down, but I didn't touch the game. Didn't finish the movie, just stared at the screen, trying to keep my ears sharp. That's when I heard it. Footsteps, upstairs, slow, uneven, like someone trying not to make a sound, but doing a terrible job at it. We had wood floors upstairs. Every step groaned if you didn't know how to walk just right. And I wasn't upstairs. I muted the TV, held my breath. The footsteps stopped. I waited, then creak, like someone was shifting their weight in place, standing still just above me, right above the living room. I wanted to scream, wanted to run out the front door, but I couldn't move. All I could do was sit there, heart thudding in my throat, staring at the ceiling like I could see through it. Then, nothing. Silence, like it never happened. After maybe 10 minutes, I convinced myself I imagined it. I didn't go upstairs that night. I crashed on the couch with all the lights on. Didn't sleep, barely blinked, just waited for morning. Saturday morning came, and I didn't say a word. I wanted to, believe me, but the second I thought about telling my parents, I just couldn't. What would I even say? Hey, I think there's a guy in our house who calls me at night and walks around upstairs? They'd laugh. Or worse, they'd panic and say I was imagining things. So I stayed quiet. That night, the third call came. I didn't even try to do anything else. I was just sitting there, on the same couch, staring at the phone like it was a bomb. And at 9:03 p.m. exactly, it rang. Private caller. This time I didn't pick it up. I let it ring, let it go to voicemail. I watched the little red light blink, waited a second, then checked the message. It was only 3 seconds long, just enough time for the same voice to say, "Why haven't you told anyone?" Then a soft chuckle, and the click. I dropped the phone, clattered on the tile. My knees went weak. That voice, it wasn't a recording. It was real. He knew I hadn't told anyone. I couldn't take it anymore. I ran upstairs to my room, slammed the door, and locked it behind me. But when I walked into the room, my window was open, just a few inches. Not wide, just cracked enough to let cold air drift in. I never left it open. I'm weird about bugs and stuff. I always made sure it was shut. My skin went ice cold. Then I saw it. My backpack was sitting on the wrong side of the room, not in the corner where I left it. Someone had moved it, like they bumped into it, or looked through it. I grabbed it, yanked it open. My math notebook was missing, just gone. Now I knew I wasn't crazy. Someone had been in my room. I didn't care how it sounded anymore. I ran down the stairs, picked up the house phone, and called my mom. When she answered, I didn't even let her speak. "Mom, someone's been calling me," I said. "They know I'm alone. They said it. They've been in the house, I swear to God, they moved stuff." My window was open. She got quiet. Not in the dismissive way. The scared kind of quiet. She told me to go outside. "Now, wait for them in the driveway." She was calling my dad and the cops. I did exactly what she said. Ran out of the house in socks, stood by the mailbox, eyes on every window. 10 minutes later, my dad's car came screaming into the driveway. 2 cop cars followed. I finally felt like I could breathe again. But what they found next made everything worse. The cops searched the whole house, top to bottom. They checked the locks, the doors, the windows, every room. Nothing looked broken. Nothing looked forced. But when they opened the door to the basement, that's when everything changed. Now, I'd never liked the basement. It always smelled damp, like old dirt and rusted metal. It had this creepy yellow light that flickered when you pulled the chain. We barely used it, just a storage space with some boxes, old furniture, junk. But when the officers went down there, I heard one of them call out, "Hey, Chief, you need to see this." I stayed at the top of the stairs while they went in, and I'll never forget what they pulled out. A blanket, a small stack of snack wrappers, an old duffel bag, and next to it, a phone, a second landline phone, plugged into the wall. The exact same kind we had upstairs. Same model, same beige plastic. One of the officers looked up at my parents and said, "Has this phone always been down here?" My mom shook her head. "We only have one." That's when it clicked. The calls hadn't come from somewhere else. They came from inside the house. That voice, that man, he'd been living in our basement, using an old second phone line no one remembered was even hooked up. He waited until my parents left, watched me, called me, and then, when I didn't say anything, he started moving around, coming upstairs while I was in the living room, watching me from behind walls. They checked the basement windows. One was broken near the back, hidden by a bush, the perfect way in and out. They think he'd been coming and going for days, maybe longer. They never caught him. The bag he left had no ID, just some clothes. The knife, he disappeared into the night. We moved a month later, different town, different house. My parents never left me home alone again. But the part that still haunts me, the math notebook. A week after we moved, it showed up in our mailbox. No envelope, no note, just the notebook, and written across the front cover in red pen, in shaky handwriting, "Still alone."